and welcome to CTV. It's the month of the woman here in CTV, and we continue to bring you conversations in our special programming celebrating women this International Women's Month. And today with me, I have women who are making strides in the oil and gas industry, and they're here to share with us their stories, but also the opportunities that are there for Uganda. And these are conversations to help bring a sustainable tomorrow in what they're sharing. Ladies, welcome to the set.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm your host, Amelia Martha Nachtimbo, and just like I've mentioned, they'll be sharing with us how they came to choose careers in oil and gas. Usually when we see people up there, we're thinking maybe this world is too technical or so and so. And I believe when you're growing up, like we mentioned earlier, before we went on set, we were joking about how growing up when they asked you, what do you want to be? A few years back, for a typical Ugandan, saying that you'd choose a career in oil and gas would not be something that you would have said then. So how then did Sarah and Angela come to be in this industry?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Sarah, like you rightly said, Birungi Banage, and I work for the Uganda National Oil Company. So I am actually in the corporate affairs department, and what that does, we are really public relations people. We are the interlink between the company and the audience out there. So we deal a lot with people. You could say that we are paid to speak, really. So it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
We are paid to speak for the sector, paid to speak for the company.
And to spread the opportunities that are there
Yes,
between the
exactly.
industry and for the people.
Yeah, we can speak about anything you want to know. We can speak about it.
Well, for our viewer out there who is watching and they're thinking oil and gas, it's something I haven't really thought about. And I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if the people who are there, what kind of courses do they study? What would you say growing up, when you look back at your career and you say, I think this step, that step, and that step somehow have shaped me to where I am today?
Now, oil and gas is a very new sector. We are older than it, actually.
Yeah.
So I didn't set off to do oil and gas.
Right.
Like I've said, I'm a speaker, I'm a public relations person. So I actually, as a young girl, I liked to see CNN, BBC, those people on TV, they stand, they speak. They seem, like in your studio here, they seem to have like a very good life. So I used to imagine, I wish I could be in a studio. I wish I could speak to many people in a studio.
And that has come to pass.
I mean,
you're in studio right
I'm
now.
living my dream.
You're in the studio.
I'm living my dream. So when I was growing up, the real thing I wanted to do when I was much younger, should I say primary, I liked to make clothes. I liked to do things to do with fashion. So I used to tell my mom, because we had an aunt, she was a seamstress. So I used to say, I want to make clothes. But you know, our education system doesn't allow for things like that. So I went to primary school, and there was nothing like learning how to tailor. It's nowhere all through the 7 years. So
Yeah.
I was looking, that's what my heart wanted from around P3. But then I had no opportunity open to me to do it. So I went through the motions of a formal education, although that's what I wanted. And you know, formal education ultimately kind of shapes us on what we can really do.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes your passion, you compromise on it because you have to fit in. So I had to fit in when I went to secondary school. Then I had to like mature up and see that this will not work. It has no room in formal education. And so then that's when I started admiring the studios, and of course TV had now come, the studios looked good.
Yeah.
So I kept asking myself, what does it take? And they told me just English. So it was fair. Because English, we were studying it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do so much like, you know, people who do biology, what and what. They told me the thing you want to do is just stay on the path of English, which later becomes literature in secondary school. So that is what I did. I did literature. And
perfecting your English and heading into communications later
yes,
on.
yes.
And that has led you to the path that you're in.
Where I am, and really I'm living my dream. Now when I moved into communication at the university, that is what they called mass communication.
Right.
So you could do, mass meant you could do the radio, the television, everything, communication. And so I was seeing myself getting closer to Christiana Mampur, and I was saying, wow, I think I'm moving nearer her.
I'm about to start reporting.
Yes, I'm supposed to go and report in war zones. So I was living my dream then in terms of working towards the career I wanted. And so I graduated as that kind of person.
And you took on jobs in communication?
Yes, I took on jobs in communication. I first did what you're doing. I went into, because you have to first understand how it works.
How the media works, yeah.
Yes, I went into studios. I did, I would report for stories. I was good at children things, actually. Well, I was safer there. Well, that's, I think I could say, because I tried sports. They took me into sports. I didn't find it interesting. I did politics. I went into parliament. It was a bit too long. Yeah, the sessions are long. Eh?
Yeah.
Then they told at that point they said, what, they actually asked me what I would love to do, which is so good. Then I said, I want to do things to do with children, bringing children out in the spotlight when they're hurt or when they have achieved things. And I started my own thing.
And the work that you're doing right now also impacts, of course, the children, especially in the Albertine region.
Yes.
And Angela also is in communications.
Right.
She's known as a communications specialist, working in the same department that you're in. Yeah. I wonder, Angela, if you have the same path as her growing up. We missed a fashion designer in her. I don't know.
It's not too late, I think.
It's not too late.
I don't necklace.
I don't know what about you. Growing up, what did you want to do, or what shaped you to be the communication specialist that you are, who is now working in the oil and gas industry?
Well, I think mine was just a little bit different in the sense that I was raised by a lawyer father, and everybody in the family seemed to be taking the role that everybody was getting into the lawyer kind of business, because that's what daddy always inspired us to do, do law. And then I think at some point in my life I was just rebellious, and I was like, I'm not going to do law. Not because I specifically didn't like it, I just didn't want to be like everybody else. I felt like we have enough lawyers in this family. I think it's enough now for me. I'm going to go into this other direction. And then I had Oprah. I was raised on Oprah. So yes, like Sarah, seeing Oprah in a studio, and I can talk for miles, I was like, I want to be like Oprah. I want to start a talk show. I want to be a host. Oh my God, I want to do this. And then I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and become do communications. And of course, we had this whole sit down with parents about why, and trying to get me into the. But then he's always been the kind of person that's like, okay, you know what, this is what you want, go ahead with that. So I went and I did, in South Africa, a degree, it's more or less like mass communications, but it's called communications, media, and culture.
Yeah.
And so it gives you communications in the sense that you learn to speak even outside the broader sense of media. And then they would make us do these projects where you have to advertise a company and get real funding for a fake company. It's at that point I started thinking, is this what I really wanted to do?
Yeah.
I just want to have a talk show. Where is the easy way out into getting my talk show and becoming like Oprah? But then, slowly by slowly, I think that, and being a woman of faith, I feel like God constantly edged me into the direction I was supposed to go, because I don't think I would have liked it as a lawyer.
Yeah.
I admire the lawyers, I just don't think it is what I would have liked to do. I feel more comfortable speaking. I think that he slowly edged me into my path. I thought it was rebellion. Looking back now, I think it was God saying, take this. take this
take
side,
that direction. Yeah, very interesting stories that you're sharing there. And like you've mentioned, in communications, you can work almost anywhere, in anything, but every sector demands a certain set of skills. If you've worked as a communication specialist, say in health, or for a company, manufacturing, it's not the same. So what does it take to work as a communication specialist in the oil and gas industry? What do you have to bring to the table?
Okay, the thing is with communication, the principles are the same.
Yeah.
The principles of health, the principles of children, the principles of oil and gas. You study them, then you master them as you keep working. What are those principles? Being clear, like I said, English. Yeah? You just be clear, you're concise in your writing, you're precise, clear and not technical. You always imagine you're speaking to someone who is not in your field, and you want them on board. So if I'm in health or oil and gas, I just have to be very clear. I have to be concise in what I write. It's precise. They used to teach us in school, keep whatever you want to say or write, keep it simple and short. People don't like to read. Those are the principles. So when I'm talking, when I'm writing, I keep it simple and short. I keep it clear. It's English. I don't have to come forth with all the strong words I know in oil and gas. I know them, but I'm not speaking to my workmates.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to you out there. So that's why those principles have helped us, because like I said, oil and gas is very new. So we have started off in different places. I have worked for taxes, a tax institution, and tax, you can see, it's not easy. It's complicated, calculating it and actually living it. But I don't need to tell you about how it's calculated. I just need to tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
Just start a business and pay. Now I'm working for oil and gas. Oil and gas is new. It's complicated probably. People haven't heard about it before. We are charting new waters. But then what is it about? It's just oil in the ground. And we should just be happy we have it, because it's going to do certain things for us, and that's what I need to let you know about. It is in the ground. We are going to remove it, we are going to clean it, and we are going to make real oil out of it in terms of fuel for the cars or for the planes. We're going to make that fuel. Anyone would understand if a country has its own fuel and that fuel is not coming from abroad, we have it here. That's already a bonus.
Yeah.
But then what else can we do with our fuel? It means we are going to have a money. Because right now in this country, what do we rely on? It's agriculture. And you know, agriculture, it's subject to weather. We've just been in a hot season, then the rains have come.
And there's also climate change,
yes,
which is changing the weather patterns for the farmers.
It's subject to God's nature. You may do technology to change it, but it's really subject to God's nature. The fruits may not come out, you know. But this is oil. We have it. Our job is just to remove it and use it and make money out of it. And what will that money do for us? That is what I'm here to tell you about. So it's a sector that we want to take everybody on board in terms of, let's be happy we have it. Never feel that we've got a curse out of it, because this, and this is what we're going to get out of them. So there could be curses in other countries, but ours here is going to be a blessing. Why? We are old. We are coming on board after many people have done what we are going to do. So we have learned from them. It's not like we are the first people with oil and gas. There's so many examples. You've just said Nigeria, Ghana, where we've gone to all those countries and seen what they're doing and only picked what we need to do right.
Right. I'll still take the same question to Angela. In your view, for someone who is maybe a mass communication student and they're trying to figure out where to work, or they're looking at oil and gas and they're thinking, but how do I enter? What would you say? What does it take to work in oil and gas?
Well, I think as Sarah explained it, the principles are really the same. If you're a communicator and you're communicating for insurance, You just need to study the product, and then once you master it, it's easier for you to go out there and educate other people. It's the same thing for oil and gas, you know. At first it looked quite foreign to us, especially when you're new to it. Not so many people know it, but there's so much information on the internet. You'll be amazed that you can actually become a geoscientist reading things on the internet if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Like
because
some
when
self-taught
yes,
rocket scientists that
self-taught,
we've
and there's
seen.
so many nice, easy, short courses that you can do. But our job as communicators is really to demystify this whole oil and gas thing, to bring these very hard words into soft language so that very young children can easily understand. I explain oil and gas to my kids as well, and at first it didn't take. And you know the quote that says, if you can't explain it to a 2-year-old, you don't know it well enough. So now that I see that they're beginning to understand what it means, it then means that I'm beginning to also understand what it means. So if you can simplify it to that level, that a 6-year-old can actually explain to you. The other day my son was telling me, Mommy, do you know that Albert is where you get the oil from? I said, there we go. Now you have begun to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So our job is just to really simplify things. And this is the same principle working for NSSA, for URA, for governments, for ministries. Understand the subject, understand the content here, and make sure that you can explain it to the masses in the simplest way possible. You don't need to come to the masses and show them, oh, I'm so intelligent, for me I understand, and then use these big words, because then you're not communicating. The first rule of communicating is that the receiver understands what you're saying. So if I come here and I start speaking about the trap and and how the oil is strapped into the ground, and then everybody's just looking at me and saying, wow, she has so many big words, but I've not told you anything. You live here with nothing. So communication is, I think, once you fit in, and it's the same thing I think with law. Once you study the law, then you know how it applies to oil, you know how it applies to finances, you know how it applies, and so you can use it. It's a big spectrum of things.
And that explains the different opportunities that exist out there. One of the messages that I know that you're trying to help Ugandans understand is that UNOC is owned by Uganda. I saw a comment from someone who was asking, we felt like you're a foreign company up there. Why is it important for you to make Ugandans understand that UNOC is
as Ugandan?
Yes,
it's quite important, because you see, as long as people do not feel involved or associated, they will stay away. You see, you can just see a family unit, for example. Someone that's not part of the family cannot attend family meetings, for example, cannot make decisions, right? So they are outsiders. So everybody within the family must feel that they are connected to the family. And it's the same thing with the National Oil Company. If we do not let Ugandans understand that this company is Ugandan, acting on behalf of all Ugandans, they will continue to see oil as a foreign thing, as something for a very educated group of people, as something for international oil companies, and then they will not participate. And then our real agenda, which is to make sure that we keep as much foreign investment within the borders, we will lose that. Because if our own people do not participate in the oil and gas space, the money leaves the country. Yeah. But if you're participating, and I'm participating, and everybody is participating, then we are taking that money, paying taxes, buying food from within the market, and then we are keeping the money in the country. Then our country develops. So it's very important for us to let everybody understand that the Uganda National Oil Company is acting on behalf of all Ugandans. We are exploring this resource so that we benefit, so that everybody will benefit. And how? And how can, because now you say, but how? We are not working for UNOC. Me, I didn't even do anything in oil. Even this oil thing, I don't understand. But there are so many simple things that you can do that will let you touch the oil money. For example, Petroleum Authority of Uganda, first of all, ring-fenced 16 categories of jobs and said these jobs can only be done by Ugandans. No foreign company shall come here and start an HR firm. We will not accept that. No foreign company shall come here and start a legal services, communication services, security, you find white people or a foreign company guarding a camp when we have so many security companies here. Crane hire, 16 different categories, waste management, because we have our own waste management companies here. Then a foreign firm falls in here and starts doing waste management. So there are 16 categories that have been ring-fenced. Ring-fencing means they have put a fence and said nobody that is not Ugandan will enter these ones. These ones are for only Ugandan people. So that is already something put aside. The same Petroleum Authority then decided, okay, but if I'm a foreign company, I come here and I'm doing drilling, but I need a communication specialist to communicate on my behalf. I can't come here and start searching, who knows communication people. So they put up what they call the talent register. You go if you have your certificate in whatever degree you have studied, and you put your certificate on there so that people can find you easily. As a lawyer, as a communication specialist, as an HR, so that the people can easily locate. There's a whole database on where you can get resource.
Where is that database for anyone who might be watching us and they're thinking, okay, I think that's something that I can do?
It's on the Petroleum Authority website, PAU, www.pau.co.ug. Right. If you put in PAU or Petroleum Authority, just technically will show up by itself. And then we also have the National Supplier database with the PAU as well. If you've registered companies, if you have a company, you're running a company. Let's use companies like event management companies, right? Because like UNOC, we like to do events to call people so we can explain. So we need tent hire, we need chairs, we need chair covers, we need tables, we need stalls, and there are all these companies that can come and put up a stall for us and do a whole good arrangement. We need a hotel to cater to the people that we are going to meet. So you can see how this how it goes on to so many other sectors. Sure. And so you put your company on there so that when we are looking for a company that will cater, you're on there. We're looking for event managers, you're on there. We are looking for public speakers, you're on there. We are looking for stations, TV stations that can come and air when we are in Burisa explaining oil and gas and we want this thing to blow up. Then we call CTV, we call NBS, we call UTV, everybody goes down there and records. We're looking for radio stations, you see? So it's massive, and you just register and you prepare, and the oil is for all of us. So it's important that we teach all Ugandans that this is a Ugandan company meant for Ugandans.
For Ugandans.
Yes.
I like how you've broken down the different opportunities that exist, right to the common person, as would say, forgetting the technical and the complicated things. I'm curious to find out. I mean, it's taken maybe since 2016 until date, we're still trying to communicate that message that UNOC is for Uganda and the opportunities are here. As communication specialists, what reception have you found? What interesting things have you got from the Ugandans that you're taking that message to? You gave an example of your own children as you've been explaining to them, and finally they're beginning to get it. Yes. When you go out there for those outreaches, what interesting things do you pick from the field?
You're right, because the journey has been long. 2015, 2016, thereabout. By that time, not much communication was being done, because then the scientists were still like looking, checking where are the wells, how much is in the wells. So there was not much talking. But once we were sure that we have this oil in this big number that we can use and even sell abroad, then the talking started. Now what's interesting, yes, people find it interesting that this oil is there. They get curious, how much is it really? And like she said, this oil, is it really ours, or is it people? Because no one has lived in a country where oil has become wealth, Saudi Arabia style. So when we go out to make those outreach, people are curious. Is it a lot, really? Is it enough? And then when you tell them, oh, it's a lot, they're like, okay, so how then will I benefit? So a human being will always want to ascertain if what you're saying is correct, then how do they benefit. So we will always have those audiences. Out of curiosity, they actually come to see, but how do we benefit? And then we start this whole story of, look here, the 16 areas. Do you have tomatoes? Are you a farmer? You're now going to get to a different scale, because oil and gas is big.
Yeah.
Is big, really. The people that come to work on it alone, that are international, and the ones here, we are many. So when you're looking at selling tomatoes, cabbages, it's big. You cannot be looking at a small little acre.
So you're encouraging the people to produce en masse?
Because the first thing you tell people, these people going to construct have to eat. The first thing is someone has to eat. Now, if they're going to eat, what are you going to do for them? You need to grow the things they want to eat. Grow the food stuff, because here we're an agricultural country, we have soils and what, but now you have to kind of guide them what to grow and in what standards to grow. So yes, we tell them food, catering, accommodation, they are all in that phase for Ugandans. Start, what do you do? It means you will need to work with her and her to be able to have enough to give them.
Right.
Because one camp, and there are going to be many camps along the different 10 districts. This is the pipeline. You know that oil has a pipe where it will travel to Tanzania out of Uganda, and so it will go through 10 districts before it leaves this country, our boundaries. Those 10 districts have never seen any form of business of this nature, because camps are going to be built where people stay. At any one point, you have 4,000 people. Foreigners have come into your district, Kakumiro. You have never had that many strangers. They have money and stomachs. Yeah. So 4,000 people in a camp. They want to drink water. They want to eat. Kakumiro people, what are you doing? They are not going to go and buy that food in Kampala if you're prepared. Right. So that's what we are telling.
That's what you're telling the people. Very interesting. We're going to go for a very short break, but this conversation continues on the opportunities that are there for Ugandans in the oil and gas sector. This is the month of the woman here on CTV. We're celebrating the month of the woman, celebrating women, and also bringing people to share conversations where especially women can tap into opportunities, because once we achieve gender equality, like this month's theme says, then we'll have a sustainable future and development that will benefit us all. We're going for this break. Don't blink.
We entertain you. Amanya Shamimanja, Omobwat, President Bidabili Mokaga, Kabonero Court.
Nanga went on Aliana, you can come here near one, but Tikutemo Raledo.
I was always and together Kubanga to him to the Venja.
Ania Yamba Doblunji, Kapoya Chiaka Lembe. Ne Gaunia Black, Elina Tiara ya Black.
Tiara.
English of my kind. Tiara.
I feel the beat.
You feel the beat?
Yeah.
Show budget situations go ground. This is a buffet yagala chuli yako.
Vera Copo CTV totally.
Don't blink.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. Mahatma Gandhi famously said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." We all have the power to change the way we feel about ourselves, others, and the world at large. The Impact is an interactive, social, and empowering platform that showcases how different change drivers have transformed community livelihoods. We bring you real-life stories of hope, resilience, change, inspiration, and bringing stakeholders to account. Tune in to The Impact, Mondays 9 a.m. Coming soon on CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back to CTV and thank you for staying with us. This is the Month of the Woman with me, Amelia Martha Nashtimbo. And today we're talking about opportunities in the oil and gas sector. And I have two lovely ladies from UNOC who are sharing information with us with the main agenda to encourage Ugandans to tap into these opportunities, like we mentioned earlier. I know right now there are different agencies that have been charged with different mandates to achieve this journey of ensuring that Uganda's oil, like you simplified it very well, we get that oil from the ground, we put it out there, we get products, we sell them, and everyone benefits. But there are different hands which are doing different things. If you could help us go into that from the point of view.
Okay, I think we start from that top.
Yes.
So our bosses are the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. They're in charge of what you call policy. They set the laws of how this whole sector should run, the oil and gas sector. They set the laws that we should have this company, it should have this job. You know, they're the bosses, the ministry at the top. Then underneath, you have what they call a regulator. The regulator is Petroleum Authority of Uganda. To understand their role, you should look at telephone companies. There is MTN, Airtel and all that, but they have UCC as the regulator because you have to follow certain standards you're given. The ministry gives you the license, then the regulator checks that you are following the license rules. So in this case, oil and gas has the Petroleum Authority of Uganda as the regulator. Having got our license to operate from the ministry, they will come and check our books, we'll come and report to them every month. This is what we do. They'll say, oh, did you follow license section this, or did you follow this? They are the overseers. The UCC of the telecom companies, the Bank of Uganda, of all the banks, we have Petroleum Authority.
Right.
Now, when you have a regulator, then you have the operators. We, Uganda National Oil Company, are one of the operators. So you will see Total Energies is an operator, Shell, all the oil companies are operators. But there's only one government company. It's called Uganda National Oil Company. So we are the operators. And what do? We are working with our partners. We have partners who have done these things before because
Right.
you see we are new. The partners like the Chinese, they have a company called CNOOC. We have another partner, Total Energies. They are French. They have done these things before. So we have good partners to learn from. Our role is to learn from them. So they are the ones bringing their money. They are the ones bringing their knowledge and expertise. And we are all they're going to dig that oil there. But as you know, we are watching. We are a government representative to see that the government people don't miss out. Yeah, so we are the operators. So in a nutshell, there are three players, and that's who we are.
And the mandates are different.
The mandates are different because whereas my boss, the ministry, will hand me a license to operate, I can never get that license from anyone else other than them. Therefore, they have the right to cancel it, and I can stop operating. They are the bosses. Now, I must be in good books with the regulator because he's going to check on a daily if I am following the rules in the license. And so his role is different. He's also my master, actually, than me as the operator. What's my role? I represent Ugandans. I represent the government as a business, in the business sense, in this journey, because this is a business. We are in it to get money out of the oil. So the country had to create a company which is going to run like a business alongside those two to make money for Uganda.
Yes, right. We have those who are mandated with the financial sense or the commercial sense, and the other sense of also bringing in partners. For anyone listening to us right now, they may say, these partners that you're bringing on board, if we are to look at what some of the countries have termed as the oil curse, have been in other places before, and they've been implicated in some of the challenges that those communities have faced. How are you, as UNOC, ensuring that the same does not happen here in Uganda?
It starts with the laws. You know, you set up very good, well-researched laws and guidelines so that any stranger, any partner, good or whatever, who comes must follow your laws. And that's what has taken Uganda this long, since you were saying, when did we start? 2016?
Yeah, thereabout.
So while that was starting to discover the oil, at the same time research was happening on what else has happened in other countries. Where have they gone wrong? What have they done right? All those things don't operate verbally. You must put them in a law, because everyone is bound by that law. So there is the National Oil and Gas Policy that shows you how things should run, and then there are several other laws that govern how anyone coming to work in Uganda or any partner bringing their money should operate. Because if you don't get it right on the law, you'll get partners rich and powerful, and they will be taking away the resource while you're watching.
Just like she mentioned, that the money would go away.
And while you're watching, but we have a perfect law. We have a law, and time has been on our side. A law that is well researched, a law that has done a lot of benchmarking in countries that have gone before us, so that what we have now here is good for our country.
Yeah. If I'm to take the question back to Angela on the different agencies that are working or are mandated to carry the oil and gas industry here in Uganda, as a communications person, as you're going out there and meeting the different partners, including the media, there are people who might feel like there's a duplication of roles. Yeah.
I think Sarah explained it really in great detail. There can't be a duplication of roles. You see, it would have become very difficult if UNOC and Petroleum Authority sat inside ministry, because that would then make ministry give us licenses, you know, even when we are not qualified, because now we are one. Then how would Petroleum Authority be able to check us and say you're failing here and you're failing here? Because we would be one company. So it would it became necessary that we separated ourselves to give each other the space to be honest, you know. If we are part of PAU, it's very hard for them to come and say, you went, you drilled a well and you did not leave the environment, because one of the very strong rules they have is that once you drill, you must once you finish everything you're doing, put the area back the way you found it. You cannot just leave things lying around. You're destroying the environment. So now we would be able to get away with such things, and Petroleum Authority would not have checked us because we are within them. So it's imperative that we separate each other. We become an oil company looking for money in the oil and gas space, and then we allow PAU to do their job of making sure and ensuring that we follow the rules and regulations, and we allow ministry to give us these licenses based on ability and not favoritism. So it was quite imperative that we were. So the roles are really, really not duplicated. They are very different.
Right, and you mentioned something very important, like taking her to on leaving the place pristine, like you found it, which is a big challenge that we've seen. There are concerns about how prepared you are to prevent, say, oil spills, which is one of the biggest disasters that we always see in oil-rich countries.
Yeah, well, the oil spills, as she has explained to you, I think time taking long to start has been a good thing, because what that has done for us is that it has given us the opportunity to go and benchmark, understand why did you fail, what happened here, BP, what caused this, Nigeria, what's happening, and then that gives you such a broad spectrum of what went wrong, what didn't fall in place, what went right, what can we copy and what should we leave. So those timelines from 2006 coming to today, of when we hadn't started and everybody was like, FID, they took the oil out of the soil already, all those milk trucks. I once had someone say that those milk trucks you see going to Chirhura actually have oil. And you know, it then, for me, people were hurt. Me, I was like, that just means that they haven't yet understood the concept of what it means to drill oil. It's such a massive undertaking that you can't park it in a truck at night and move it. Like it cannot happen. So the time that has taken for us to finally get this final investment decision on the table has helped us to understand a lot of things. Now that is not to say that they might not be a situation, you know, because anything can happen. There could be an earthquake, something that, you know, but we have put checks and balances in place, right? Because of all the time that we have taken to study this industry, and we are hopeful that we will not fail.
If you can give specific examples on the learnings, for example, that you have seen. I know there are reports, for example, on compliance. You know, you've seen, okay, BP, this happened here and there, and now coming back to compel them. What are some of those specific things that you're especially putting those partners, making them commit to ensure that this does not happen in Uganda?
Yeah, and let me tell you, let me take you back a bit. You know, in this country we have our agency called National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA.
Yeah.
So you cannot operate or start a big infrastructure project without doing an environmental impact assessment study.
Yeah.
So those studies were done because they involve people, and so you must do the studies, and if people must be moved, you must plan it very well. So those studies were done. People are being moved after being paid and given all the full understanding of what the money they are receiving should do for them. And so that's the side of human beings. When it gets to the environment, leaving it as it's supposed to do, NEMA is the one checking out to see. When you've drilled, will you put back the land, field, and plant vegetation over it, so that, like you saw the dam at Owen, it suddenly got green hills, because you're supposed to leave the environment. Are you going to do that? And yes, they will check it out. Now, you're talking about specific examples. I'll tell you, there is a pipeline. When the oil is removed from the ground, it must be transported to where it is refined, and then it is transported to where it's stored, but some of it is too much. It is removed and quickly taken to Tanga for sale as crude. The oil that is removed from down is called crude oil, thick and waxy. It can't even flow. It cannot. You have to heat the pipeline so that it gets liquid. Like, take an example of butter. It can't flow, but once it is hot, then it will move in the pipeline. So we are building.
Sometimes it hits to up to like 150 degrees Celsius, which is quite hot.
Well,
yeah.
The pipeline is designed in such a way that it's a heated pipeline. By the way, it's the longest heated pipeline. It's going to be the longest heated. Now, and there are sensors that they're put on those pipelines. They're called intrusion, because you see these spills or problems that have happened in other countries sometimes have been human-made, right? So one, it is underground. So when you put things underground, you're already limiting how much they can easily be accessed. Then you have technology to work with. It has intrusion sensors that can detect instantly where a problem is, so that it is fixed before it spills out, thanks to technology. So those are some of the little things that have happened because we have benchmarked elsewhere. Pipelines run on top in many countries. No, this one will be underground. And then if it is underground and someone just drills, for instance, let's say the whole night is digging to reach it, there are sensors, there are intrusion sensors.
The thickness
yeah.
of the pipeline is 5 millimeter thickness.
It's also too thick.
Quite thick.
So those are all done to protect this oil. Once it's out of the ground and it's on top, you must really protect that it doesn't get exposed. Those are some of the things that have come through. And NEMA will always be there to see that the things that we said we would do are being done.
Right, and I think you brought in something very important. I know that Uganda has been deliberate on using technology, which we haven't seen in other places. If you can help us understand more on how this technology, even more examples of where else it's going to be used to make this a very smooth process and to protect the communities, especially those that stay near the oil pipelines.
Yeah. So the pipeline she has talked about, I just wanted to add on that the reason why it's going to be buried is to allow you to continue to use the land. So after we dig, we cover the land, the pipeline is under, and then the owner can go ahead and graze, while a pipeline is going under. So, but the technology you're talking about, I think it is NITA that is finding a way to use internet cabling through that same pipeline, along that same pipe. It will then allow for it will go all the way to Kabale, which will allow we have an industrial park that is going to be in Kabale, a second international airport. This is very important, that is going to be in Kabale, in Hoima, not Kabale down this side.
I think Kabale, it's Kabale and Kabale.
That one is Kabale, this one is Kabale. So that the internet will then be used massively, So Hoima is going to become a city, a big city. It's going to be landing people at an international airport directly in Hoima. You no longer have to come all the way from Entebbe, so that it can bring those big materials to do the drilling. So what that then does is that it opens up Hoima, first of all, and Uganda to a whole new world. A plane has landed here carrying drilling pipes. It has downloaded those at the airport. The plane is empty. It is up to us, especially within that oil region, to see what we can put in this plane and take to the international market. So it opens up that kind of space, So this is not a minor thing, and really it's massive. And then the industrial park. So after the oil is cleaned, it's sifted, let's say on a kasengeja, for easy terms to understand, because I don't want to go into RFCC and then everybody will be like, it's sifted. The things that remain after the clean oil comes out, those things go into the industrial park and can produce other things. They pump into plastics. Nice House of Plastics will no longer need to import things. They pump into these pharmaceuticals. They go into fertilizer, so they open up the agriculture sector. You can just get your fertilizers from Hoima. They go into some of the cosmetics that women use, being the Women Month. Cosmetics are going to become widespread.
Well, the cosmetics are used by all.
Yes, yeah, well, but mostly. So the industrialization of the country is going to boom, and it's going to bring such a big spa into the entire country. It's going to be massive. It's going to be great. And as a woman, I am proud that I will be part of the moment.
Right. And I know that even other opportunities have been opened elsewhere. You earlier talked about the final investment decision, and I know it's something that you've also been involved in, and it has taken, such a long time to achieve. Now that it's here, what next?
Well, once the final investment decision is taken, and what the final investment decision means, first of all, is that we are a number of companies. Everybody has been assigned a role and an amount to invest. The final investment decision simply means that we have all now agreed that what Martha said she would do, she will do. What Sarah said she will do, she will do. And I've agreed, because while reading the documents, I don't like this phrase, I don't like. So finally, we have now come to a term where we're all like, okay, we are in agreement, let's go ahead and invest. So that's what final investment decision means in very simple words. So what next? Immediately after final investment decision is taken, contracts are now going to be awarded, Who is going to bring the drilling well? Who is going to bring the pipes? Which company is going to do this? Okay, so everybody already has a portion of their work. Now CNOC will go and find who brings for them. So they award a contract to those people. There's a bidding process, and then you award a contract. Total will go and find who is going to do such and such services. There's a bidding process, then you award a contract. UNOC will go and do the same. So once all these companies are given contracts, you see the jobs keep on cascading down. Eh? So now you subcontract Sarah. You contract Sarah to bring a pipe. Sarah now has to find people who have trucks to carry those pipes. The truck people have to find the drivers to drive those trucks. The drivers have to find fuel to fuel the trucks. The ones at the fuel station need to find the fuel. So it keeps on going down, 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 and finally gets to me, an ordinary citizen. I now need to start communicating about, oh my God, UNOC is taking the pipes. Come see the pipes. Bring all the TV stations. They need to see how these pipes have gone. All the TV stations now have to go down to Hoima. Other new TV stations have to open up. So this is what FID entails. But I need people to understand that now in the construction phase is where the jobs are massive. Because once we have built, and now already everything is in place, right? The pipeline is in place, drilling is in place, oil is being pushed automatically, and then those jobs start to decrease in nature. But right now, while we are still looking for who is bringing the pipelines, who is driving the trucks, who is feeding the truck drivers, they have to have two stops on the way to the... So you immediately secure locations along the road to feed the trucks. Where will these trucks sleep overnight? How are they going to fly into the country? Who is going to clearing and forwarding farms now? Who is going to clear the pipes? You know? This is where the big number of jobs is. In these 5 years, the journey to 2025, I am asking ladies, women, young girls, and not children, because that's now child labor. Men and women, please don't let this opportunity miss you, please.
And I understand that as UNOC, you've also put in place some scholarships to ensure that you encourage people to take part in that. But you've only selected a few fields. Why those few fields?
Okay, now the scholarships were in the welding and metal fabrication.
Yeah.
Why? This oil and gas industry, that's the bulk of labor force required. Because at all levels, whether be it removing it from the ground, which is calling drilling, whether building this whole 1,413 kilometer pipeline from Hoima to Port Tanga in Tanzania, you will need metal workers. You will need welders, fabricators, people like that. Even if it is to build the camps, they are not really made out of concrete. Most things are done temporarily using metal fabrication, welding. So we realize the biggest number of people required are in welding and metal fabrication. And yet in Uganda, that's a skill that people go to Nakawa roadside and just learn. I saw what Angela did. They start burning.
Yeah.
So, and yet these oil companies follow highest standards. They want certification. They want qualification. Many of our welders don't have those things in Uganda. Rather than them go to Tanzania, to Kenya, to bring certified welders, we're like, no way. Let's teach our people, because government put up an institute in Chugumba, a polytechnic. Now is the time. If you thought welding was for just Nakawa people because they have no papers, no, we are telling welders, you can have a professional job at I am a welder with an internationally certified certificate. And because you worked for the oil and gas sector here in Uganda, when Congo starts, or Sudan or Kenya, you will cross over to work there. So we picked this deliberately because one, bulk of labor, but two, that was a skill that didn't have proper paperwork. And yet these companies, Total, will not hear of me. I have worked at Nakawa stage for 3 years. No, they want papers.
Yeah. Quite interesting. If you're to paint for us a picture, I mean, you've talked about the several kilometers of the pipeline and the 5 years that it's going to take for all this preparation. How many welders would we need?
And I think I saw numbers there for the refinery. The refinery alone, there was a number like 9,000, just because, and that's not the pipeline. So what I can tell you is that 70,000 labor force is required in this 3-year.
70,000 labor
yes,
force.
labor force in this 3-4 year construction period, starting today because they have started.
Yeah.
Up to 2025 when the oil comes out. 70,000 in different aspects, but mainly metalworks and welding. So the figure just of metalworks and welding, I may not have it on top of my head, but the number 70,000 in this period, and that's direct, because after direct you have indirect. You have these welders, but then you need several other people who help the welder to perform. So 70,000 is direct, and there are so many other knock-off jobs that feed into the qualified 70,000.
For the welders, how many have we trained so far?
Clearly not enough.
Not enough.
Because you see, while we talk about that long pipeline, there are feeder pipelines. Okay, so there's a well here, there's a well somewhere else, some kilometers out, there's another well somewhere, and then there are pipelines that are attaching to lead it to the refinery. Then there are pipelines that are bringing water also, because when you're drilling, in the process of drilling, you need water to make that thing soft, as it goes in and comes out, right?
I like how you're simplifying things as communication specialist.
Everybody to know that oil is just, it's such an easy subject to understand, but maybe we use such big words and scare people off. So I try not to use those big words. So there are those other attached pipelines to it, and also those will need welders. So they are quite massive. I think we will get you the numbers, but what we can do in the interim, you can check on the petroleum website. They usually like to put numbers of everything. You can see how many welders. See all the welders in Katwe. Those people that are always they're not enough. And they don't have certification. So very soon you're going to find those people, after they have been trained, they will have certification, they will be working in the oil and gas sector. So there's a massive need of people, and I think we will get there.
And we have to encourage people.
Yes.
You see, take an example exactly of those welders. A welder has been in business for 8 years and it works for him in Katwe or in Nakawa. You tell him now, take off time
to study,
to go and study at Chigumba. You're like, no, not for me. So that's why we actually put this advert out, because this one you don't need to have tried before. Just come as a fresh young man, fresh young woman, and you're trained how to do it right. So your starting point will be oil and gas.
And the interesting thing is that this course is just a few months,
It's
3 or 2, if I may say. Well, we are continuing our conversation here on opportunities in the oil and gas industry, and we have communication specialists from UNOC who have spelled out so many opportunities so far. I'm sure if you're out there, maybe you're already taking notes and getting inspired to run and look for these opportunities. But now we're going to take a very short break. Catch a breather, don't blink. We'll be right back.
Now showing on CTV. Start your day fresh with TV unlike anything you've seen before. Wake up with Sunrise at Sea for your daily dose of freshly cut stories, trending online discussions, self-care and constructive conversations. No topic is off limits. Watch Sunrise at Sea every weekday at 7 a.m. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
Don, Rajo Gela Mazina Gentima. What you managing to know, tell me, kid. Every time it clocks 11 a.m. on CTV, we bring you the only certified morning party, the brunch request.
So I would love to listen to everything. Then you put your hand, go work.
If you believe it, say amen. If you believe it, say amen.
I would like to listen to Toast by Coffee.
Fire.
Shiba.
Yes.
My name is Star Bunting.
Now showing on CTV, Don't Blink.
We entertain you. Ngawe tukuwaje?
Amanya Shamimanja, Omobwat, President Birabiri Mokaga, Kabonero Court.
Nanga wento naliya nafuka, you can call me Aliya one, but tikutemo olwaleero.
Ani tubasuubiza ntugenda kubanga tuli mu bitundu ebyenjawulo.
Ani yayambadde obulungi, kapoye ki akazze ku mulembe? Ne gown ya black, erina tiara ya black.
Tiara?
Tiara. English of my kind. Tiara.
I feel the beat.
You feel the beat?
Yeah.
Olwokuba bakutera ekigendo oba ofiiringa the beat. Show bagiyita situations ko ground. This is a buffet kyagala ky'olyako.
Beerako ku CTV totemye.
Don't blink.
Now showing on CTV, Don't Blink.
Look at her go. Don't miss her glow. She's beautiful, elegant, brilliant, confident. She adorns a crown of glory, woven in grace by her story, cloaked in a gown of strength, laced with diligence at the hem. Who art thou, O great mountain, before her? Honor her for all that her hands do. Her works bring her praise. She is the Proverbs 31 woman. She'll never be in a daze. She will emerge victorious. She bravely faces adversity. Through this crucible like silver and gold, she unfolds unscathed like a phoenix rising from the ashes. She laughs at the days to come, her tongue laced in wisdom. Her children arise, they call her blessed. Her husband, yes, he praises her. She is woman. We celebrate her. We are CTV. Don't blink.
As we embark on a journey to realize our full potential, we all need expanded minds and limitless possibilities. We need to be accurately informed. CTV is your growth partner. With reliable, in-depth news, we tell the story from all perspectives. We bring you the story in real time. Catch our comprehensive daily bulletins in Juba Ekolorie at 7 p.m. and PM edition at 9 p.m. CTV, don't blink.
Welcome back. You're watching Month of the Woman here on CTV, which is special programming that we are bringing you this March to celebrate International Women's Day. And we're doing that by bringing you people who are specializing in different sectors, and they're doing the most in terms of bridging the gender gap and also helping to create a sustainable tomorrow. We're saying gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. And here today we are discussing opportunities in the oil and gas industry, and there are enormous opportunities for whoever is out there. One of the challenges that we are seeing as a country is that we see more young people leaving or trying to leave this country because they are looking for opportunities which they think they cannot find here. And our panel today has just spelled out very many opportunities that are existing, especially within the before 2025. Like you mentioned, you talked of a database where people can go as individuals and as companies to tap into that, because once the drilling starts, it will be those main databases where people will go, or the concerned people, to look for these databases. If you can tell us more about that. If it's a company, what kind of company should it be? If it's an individual, what kind of individual should register themselves there?
Okay, thank you. Angela brought out something very good when she was saying you need to transport something, you will need drivers, they will need to eat, they will need to sleep. They may have children, and because they come from very far, the kids need to study around the Graben, that area, Hoima. So there are so many knock-off jobs that can arise out of this one thing. But what is not going to happen, those people are not going to be found on the streets that you put out an advert. No. There is database registration taking place right now. When you're an individual, like I, Sarah, I'm a communicator, I go to the www.pau.go.ug website, PAU. They're in charge of both registrations, registering you as an individual and registering you as a company. So you have a talent in you. You are a lawyer, you're a communicator, you're an environmental specialist, you are a human resource, you are anything, a driver, anything with a qualification. Go to the website of PAU, register yourself under the talent register. That's talent. But then you could be a company. I supply tomatoes at large scale. I have some hotel rooms I can offer. I have any company. Human resource company, legal staff, a legal firm, not a lawyer but a firm. You're a service company or a company. There is what they call the National Supplier Database. You must be in there. They ask for simple things, you know, date of registration, you know, you're complying with the existing company laws, then you will get onto that register. Because the stage we have started since 1st February, which is construction, till to 2025 is the busiest. It is a stage when the most money comes in the regions of $10 billion are going to be spent in this short period between February and 2025. That money is going to be spent here on these things. So the person they contract will subcontract her. Then they'll say, hey, we are not enough. They come for Sarah, bring Sarah along. We are not enough. Bring Mother. Everybody will be involved because you're doing a huge project. $10 billion cannot be spent on one company, cannot be spent on 1,000 companies. There's going to be very many companies doing different things, subcontracted there, what they call tier one, the big one. Those have been given, and then you go coming down, because as you know, construction and the business that follows, usually they are those subcontracted who subcontract. Your job is to just bring a little pipe. Your job is to just bring water. Yours is just cabbages. Now, you cannot do cabbages as Sarah alone, because these people need to eat. We've told you they will create camps along the way. 4,000 they move, 4,000 they move. Direct camps, one company. Another company is also creating its own camps. Now you need tomatoes. It's too much every day. So we are asking people in that database, create yourselves associations. For us, we are tomato providers. Sarah and Company Tomatoes, Angela, you create associations. So you are a force. Now you can deliver these tomatoes more. Because if they come to you and you have them today, which is unlikely, you can even have for one day, and then you don't have tomorrow, you are off the list. It won't work.
And they need sustainability.
Yes, they need sustainability. We don't want them looking for tomatoes across boundary on grounds that, but we asked these guys and they just didn't deliver. So register, start looking into yourselves, what your strengths are, do mergers with people, associations with people of like mind, get ready. That is the opportunity.
I see Angela nodding, like she really wants to complement what you just mentioned.
Yeah, you know, this is it's a very touchy subject for me, because I always look at the year 2025. It has come, it has passed, and then people are in regret, and that is something, if it happens, I will know I didn't do my job, you know, because I have been to almost every TV station to explain how simple this thing is and how it is easy for everybody to participate. And I try to look at people who think, I don't fit in here. And I try to tell them, no, you fit in. So I was using an example yesterday of a barber shop, right? The camps she has told you about. There is a camp. There are people who go, you know, people who go work on camps are not allowed to go home until they work on rotational basis. You must work maybe 2 months, then you can go. For 2 months, you haven't cut your hair. But I am a barber. I can simply start my barber shop somewhere there around, you know. I can cut your beards, I can do your nails while you're in camp, scrub your feet, you know. Now, 2 months, I'm selling mukadde, what those clothes from, Why don't I start a shop nearby, so that when you take off your overalls, you have something else to wear for the evening? 2 months you're sitting on camp. You need to somehow, you know, but camps don't allow alcohol most times. But at least, you know, we can bring music nearby. There are so many things you can do that will benefit you. There is an industrial park. The people in the industrial park will leave the park in the evening. They will need places to sleep, 1-bedroom apartments. If you have the capacity, build those apartments, you know. Then those people will need to go to the towns to watch a movie. There are no movie cinemas in Hoima, at least I haven't seen any. So maybe it's time for someone to go and venture into that. They will need to go to a discotheque, and you know, a little bit of high standard, because they will vary in class or in taste. So you could have an oldies club, you can have young people club, you can, because people are different in our tastes. So there is an immense amount of opportunity. And I don't want you to just look at the oil. The oil, when is the oil coming to the pump? Then I pay 100 shillings, which might also not be the case. But I want you to look at what the oil can do. That the level of tourism spa that will happen from this oil. People landing directly in Hoima. They have reached Hoima and now they want to see Uganda. So tourism must increase and it must improve.
So that speaks to someone as far as Ginger, to say that you can, you know,
exactly,
position yourself.
Bridge, what activities are there, you know, where else can we go? We hear about the Nile, the Pearl of Uganda. Tourism, it has to expand. Infrastructure is being put into place. While we were preparing for the road, what they call oil roads, roads that will help it, make it easy to access the oil wells. People will tell you, people who were here before me, there's a road in Hoima where it wasn't in existence. So you had to park somewhere, then you carry all your luggage down a hill. Then when you finish, you carry it all back up the hill. And now it's a beautiful, beautiful road. It goes into circles and circles, and it's such a scene to see. So roads have been put in place. When roads are put in place, it means that even when you live in Soroti, you can access Hoima. When you live in Kavale, you can access Hoima. So it doesn't mean that if oil has been found in the Albertine, it has locked everybody out. No, it now has put accessibility into this area. So you can, because associations must be formed, as Sarah has explained to you. If one camp has 4,000 men, they have breakfast every morning and they want eggs. You tell me who is going to supply 4,000, because you know, to make an omelette, you can't use one egg.
You need at
2 or
least
3.
2.
In a tray of eggs, there are 25 or 24. So you've been doing your egg thing on some kind of scale.
Yeah.
You will not supply this camp to last 3 days
alone.
Now someone in Kabale has the same, someone in Kitugum has the same. We just form an association of where we will deliver our eggs every week to supply a camp, because the road network has been put in place, you know. Agriculture, so oil is an unlocker into other different things.
Other different sectors.
Yes.
You mentioned something to do with, accessing oil or fuel at just 100 shillings, which is maybe what many Ugandans are waiting for. We've talked about opportunities for individuals, and someone might be thinking, okay, if I'm looking at my country developing, at the end of the day, what will that look like, or what will it translate into?
If I was like I am in Uganda right now is not the time to leave. Now is not the time to leave because of what is happening. Everything is opening up. By the time they say where money hits, money is felt. By the time $10 billion are coming into an economy, the economists cannot even calculate everything that will spur out of that amount of money coming into the country. Because you see, we've built things before, infrastructure projects like dams. We built Karuma, is the most recent one. Now these are like 10 Karumas. So that Karuma you saw that is big and people were visiting it, you have that amount of money coming in the short time. 10 Karumas in that number of years. So that money we're talking about is really big, and where money hits, money is felt. So that's why I said if I was, which I am, I wouldn't leave. Now is not the time to leave. Now is the time to quickly press that button, find out the PAU website, register my talent there. Now is the time for me to start up something small in terms of if I'm going to do eggs, for instance, and get to know in the database which other people are doing eggs. I take the lead in causing that association. Now is the time for me to say I will focus only on cabbage and get my cabbages right with the other guys who are doing cabbage, so that we are a force. We, the Kampala cabbage growers, whatever it is, are giving you these cabbages. When behind we're like 40 farmers. Because these guys, like she's explained, they eat well. They have all the meals. They have breakfast, they have lunch, a break in the evening, and supper, and so many along the way for that number of years. You can start something now and live with it and, provide it.
You mentioned something about standards for the people who are registering. For someone who says, okay, you've explained the opportunities and I'm interested now in maybe going to grow and grow the cabbage or the pineapples. Where can they find the guidelines for the standards so that they do not fall short?
Okay, we've been holding these conferences. We call them National Supplier Conferences, and we're only teaching 3 things in these conferences. Quality, you have to have the quality, we teach it. The safety, because this sector cares a lot about the safety regulations within my company, Sarah and Company. What safety regulations do you follow? Then the environmental health things, health and environment. What do we, when we are doing our little business in this company, what are we doing? For you to be picked and stand out to supply anything for the oil and gas sector, they must be sure that you're compliant with all these things. They will not touch you if you don't have safety proper rules in your company.
That's safety for the people you're employing.
Exactly, the people you're employing. Safety, or your quality is good today and tomorrow not good. And this is where we as Ugandans need to really wake up, because you see we get away sometimes with a lot. You go buy something, you buy the things are good, then in month 1 they're good, but then month 2 they are not good. This we are teaching. Quality must be consistent. In your company, you must have proper safety guidelines. Have them documented and follow them, because for you to be picked, these are things that are going to be asked of you. Health, what do you do? Health concerns in your institution, in your workers, are they healthy? And then the environmental concerns, if you're doing anything that's going to affect the environment, fine, but what mitigation measures have you put in place so that the adverse situation is minimized, okay? So this is what we are teaching. Whenever you see, we are having them online, whenever you see, and this whole sector is having them. Sometimes it's PAU, sometimes, in fact, people have come on board, like the Stanbic Bank. They have come on board to just teach people these things, because you see, as a bank, I think they've thought it through. If we teach these suppliers what to do, then they will win contracts. And once they win contracts, they'll need money. So they'll come to you, Stanbic.
So they're smartly providing solutions.
Yes. So this conference, this training has been and is still really ongoing. UNOC will hold them, banks will hold them. Whenever you see a supplier conference, oil and gas supplier, don't be lazy that they're taking your time listening, because they would give you a tip that day. You go back and sort a few things within your company or your agency in order to stand out and qualify for a contract, whatever tier it will be, but you will be able to fit in.
Do these conferences go into spelling out, for example, if we need avocado, we need it to be this type of avocado?
Yes. For instance, I'll tell you, there is, Stanbic has gone into partnership. There's something they call the Stanbic Incubator. They've gone into partnership with serious agriculture, like advisors, should I say, and there is even model farms down in Hoima. So they have partnered with a company, and there's a Dr. Nalima somewhere. That picture, I think you've heard about that lady.
Yes.
So they are holding model farming sessions properly, that this is how the avocado, the veggies, this is how to grow them so that they meet the standards required. What I know also, as the time comes nearer, they'll also be recommending what seeds exactly to pick and plant, because we need to help ourselves as this country. We need to help ourselves, because if we don't, these companies, Total or whatever, it's very easy for them to ask for these things to come from Kenya if Kenya is ready.
Right.
But because we are here at the right time, in the right moment, we just need to be ready, and then we'll have our things.
It's interesting how this keeps coming up in the different conversations that we've had this month. And even when we're talking about different things, the issue of standards, the issue of registering your companies, especially people on small scale, and especially the women, a question also on ensuring that you're consistent in what you produce, because it cuts across, and I think it's a culture of Uganda that we are addressing. And I do hope that our viewers out there are taking all these notes and paying attention. Now, before we go, there are of course challenges that we do face in the oil and gas industry, and things that maybe you as communication specialists you'd want people to prepare for as you're finding solutions, or to also work with you in finding those solutions. If you can share with us some of those.
The challenges are just like some of the challenges are what Sarah has mentioned. I want you to imagine a situation where you are providing food to a 4,000-man camp, and then you cause food poisoning because you did not meet the standards. So the work doesn't go on for a full day. There's a group of 4,000 men sick because you did not meet standards. You know, it's that dangerous for you not to maintain standards. You have to be very hygienic, you have to keep standards. There must be high standards, because this is the kind of thing that can become a big mess if you just say, let's just do it this way, you know. So that high standardization, Ugandans haven't been used to high standardization, you know. They produce whatever tomatoes, and so we are now we are in an effort to teach high standardization. That is one of the challenges we face. Then, as Sarah has told you, when they subcontract me, I may not have the resources, the money to go ahead and do this job, right? I might have 4 or 5 trucks, but Sarah is subcontracting me for 15 or 20 trucks. That will then lead me to go and ask for a loan. The high interest rates on loans is another form of challenge that we are facing. But when you form those associations, and I bring my 5 trucks, you bring 3, you know, one by one makes a bundle, you will find that we can somehow come to that number that we need. We are greater in numbers, yeah? But sometimes even after we have formed the association, we may still not meet the requirement and then still need to get a loan. But if we get a loan as a group, it's better than getting a loan as an individual.
Right.
And then we are also used to doing things on small scale, you know.
Right.
May I supply a market, I always take there 10 batches of matoke. This has fed my family for so long. We are doing well, my kids are in school. So I'm used to this small scale
So
kind
we're getting
of thing.
comfortable
I'm
with small
comfortable.
things, yeah.
I'm okay, my children eat, they're in school, and we are okay with my 10 batches of matoke. But 10 batches of matoke will not cut it. So small scale businesses, we now need to see how we can take you from 10 to 30 to 50 to 100 and find you other people supplying 100 so that you can supply matoke.
Right.
So those are some of the challenges that we are facing, but through these workshops we are teaching people what we can do, how we can improve, and how we can prepare. And you know, a cow is not fattened on market day. So you need to start now. You'll not wait and just boom, show up. It will not work. So we need, now is the time, like really now is the time.
But there are also challenges like when you say oil and gas and all the people we're saying are coming in, plus the ones who are here and maybe moving into Hoima. There are cross-cultural things that come up when you have so many visitors and you can't handle them. The first thing, girls have to be talked to stay in school, because we've seen this happening in other places where they've built roads and then there are little colored babies that stay behind when the roads
Should
are
we
done.
talk to the girls, or should we talk to the people who are coming in to stay off our girls?
You talk to both of them. These people are not yet here. For us, we're already talking to the girls. We started a campaign as UNOC, Keep a Girl in School. So we've gone to these secondary schools. The CEO is very passionate about it. So she's leading this campaign already. She's talking to the girls. Of course, when those people come, they will have standards and certain things to follow. Then they will also be trapped. But what I was talking about called cross-cultural interferences, when you get that huge number of people, there are things you must manage. Facilities are right, the facilities are also infringed upon, but then these people are in their camps. But when they get out, they meet other people. There's a district as people we have to manage, and we are training these people. You're getting people from all sorts of walks on life, so you need to live together and manage each other, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And I like the sound of the campaign that you just mentioned, Keep a Girl in School campaign. Though I think, I don't know, talking just to the girls, maybe the schools themselves also have to be involved.
Yeah.
And you highlight a very important point about the multicultural issues that I think those are some of the things that we tend to overlook until it happens, and then you find this one, you know, just a matter of understanding the different cultures that we have and how to work together and live together. Before we go, there's something else you mentioned about apartments where people will stay. In some of the oil cities, we've seen where people build so many apartments, and when, you know, all the work is done, then they live what you'd call ghost houses. How are you, as UNOC, ensuring that maybe there's a transition, that maybe the former residents will be able to come back? Just briefly.
No, you know, this oil, we have not even tapped what God gave us. We've started with a few wells. We are just around 9 licenses have been given so far. But we're talking of a region. There is too much untapped. We've not even got to half of it. So this will pass. This phase will pass. Then there will be new licenses to new partners to start all over again. This is just the beginning. So we are on a journey, and a long time journey. The resource is still there. And so this whole process will repeat after a certain time.
Thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge and information with us. We've come to the end of the show. And I believe that you out there, you've been taking notes and taking note of all the opportunities that Sarah and Angela have shared with us from UNOC. Month of the Woman continues here on CTV. We'll continue having conversations that are empowering, especially the women and girls. And we say, why women and girls? Because when injustices happen, they tend to be disproportionately affected. And that's why we are emphasizing that. Well, CTV continues. We have more programming lined up for you. Brunch Request is coming up. But also be sure to catch our programs later on. The news, PM edition at 9 p.m. and Njube Golobye at 7 p.m. You can also reach out to us, share your feedback on our different social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and also catch other shows on YouTube. I've been your host, Amelia Martha Nachtimbo. Goodbye.